Today's headline news. Wiki publishes internal documents of the CCP's National Health Commission on the eve of the CCP virus outbreak. Xiamen's largest house church gathering hit by CCP's authorities at a hotel. Mr. Guo Wengui, Japanese Prime Minister's visit to the United States. Japan clarifies 3 major demands. Josh Rogin. CCP virus funded by U.S. taxpayers, U.S. medical institutions involved. Vaccine passport implemented in Israel. April 19th, Gordon G. Chang said on Twitter, China's regime is extending its social and political control mechanisms worldwide. April 20th, Judicial Watch said on Twitter, Judicial Watch and Daily Caller received 301 pages of emails of Dr. Fauci from HHS showing that NIH officials tailored confidentiality forms to China's terms, and WHO conducted an unreleased, strictly confidential COVID-19 epidemiological analysis in January 2020. April 20th, Kyle Bass said on Twitter, just like he told Obama in the Rose Garden that he would not ever militarize the islands in the South China Sea, she is a liar that no one should believe. April 20th, Uyghur Human Rights Project said on Twitter, the CCP's main message to overseas activists is clear. Your families in China are our hostages. The CCP despicably leverages the health and safety of activists' family members to silence dissent. April 20th, John Kennedy said on Twitter, hackers and foreign enemies like China keep targeting federal agencies and individual Americans. The SEC should not make Americans' personal information a prime target by centralizing and storing it needlessly. April 19th, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said on Twitter, data released Friday by CDC on the number of injuries and deaths reported to the Vaccine Adverse Effect Reporting System following COVID vaccines reveal reports of blood clots and other related blood disorders associated with all 3 vaccines approved for emergency use authorization in U.S. April 20th, Secretary Antony Blinken said on Twitter, today, I discussed the importance of the U.S.-Mongolia strategic partnership in prompting our shared values worldwide with Foreign Minister Betsitek. Mongolia is a critical democratic partner in Asia, and our friendship has never been stronger. April 20th, Design said on Twitter, what is not said in this documentary? Ian Lipkin, Peter Daszak, Edward Holmes, Yongzhen Zhang. These guys were all playing the innocent game, pretending that they unveiled the truth to confront Chinese Communist Party. But to the contrary, they were highly praised by CCP. The following are international news. Mr. Guo Wengui revealed only the CCP and Iran remain in the original 5-nation military exercise. On April 18th, Mr. Guo Wengui said in a live broadcast that Saudi Arabia has been pro-communist in recent years and tried the CCP Red Flag missile system against Iran. A few hours before the broadcast, the CCP ambassador had a big fight with Saudi's royal family and was humiliated. Mr. Guo also broke the news that the CCP was scheduled to hold military exercise with Pakistan, the United Arab Emirates, Iran, and Saudi Arabia in the Strait of Malacca in the South China Sea from April 17 to 19. But under the pressure from the United States, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and Pakistan have withdrawn from the military exercise.
那么我今天告诉大家，我今天给大家爆个料啊，就在几个小时以前啊，就在我们今天直播几个小时以前，中共的驻沙特的大使在沙特被沙特的王子给羞辱一番和沙特皇室吧大吵了一架。为什么呢？过去了2周来吵了很多架。沙特的这个王子很年轻本扎伊德。本扎伊德呢，就是这过去几年基本上就是想尽一切办法来靠共，坐着飞机跑到中共去支持对新疆大屠杀大家看到了然后是石油对中共永远是敞开的。沙特的这种亲中，包括导弹系统，包括防御系统，包括国防系统，都尝试想用中国的红旗9或红旗9E整个系统想对付伊朗。那么花了半年时间共产党玩的最高的招，4月17号到4月19号有一个在所谓的马六甲海峡还在整个南海有一个军事演习。谁参加呢？巴基斯坦、阿联酋、伊朗、沙特全参加而且中共付大钱。结果美国强烈施压，在2周前沙特退出，阿联酋退出，巴基斯坦也退出，现在就剩下此时此刻中共和伊朗自己玩钱也花了，人家不来了钱花了，人家不来了。这对中共是个很打脸的事儿，所以中共公开宣布不再买沙特石油，买俄罗斯石油减少阿联酋石油，然后巴基斯坦几个钱不投了跟伊朗玩大家知道就此时此刻。那么亚洲
Miles Kuo says Japan makes 3 demands to the U.S. On April 18th, on his latest broadcast, Miles Kuo said that Japan made 3 demands of the U.S. during Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga's visit with the U.S. President Joe Biden. The 3 demands include the militarization of its self-defense force, becoming a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and pursuing nuclear weapons. The 2 countries are committed to strengthen their alliance by working together across a range of fields, including promoting a secure high-tech encryption for the economy and resolving energy issues in the Malacca Strait. The U.S. and Japan will also strengthen military cooperation to take on the challenges and threats if Taiwan is attacked by Communist China.
那么亚洲的中日之间谁是老大谁是代理人的问题，日本人生死的问题，全在这马六甲海峡能源供给线上包括了印度。所以日本的第一要求，军队是自卫队军事化；第2步最关键的是所谓的入联合国加入联合国入核；第3个就是最后要允许拥核，允许拥有核弹。这3步走，这次到美国来，第一次日本明确现在是普建田基地给松绑的目的是干啥知道吗？要允许美国在日本布置中长程导弹。只要美国在日本布置了中长程导弹整个中共国所有的全部在包括俄罗斯100%在美国叫做无反应的导弹袭击范围内。啥叫无反应日本要布下了中长程导弹，直接就打到这个上海海南大连北京甚至北方黑龙江，还打到俄罗斯里，它没有反应的时间。就在这个时候，菅义伟对世界的3个诉求2样得到了美国松绑 ，NMD、TMD 建立中导层体系统，让他国家松绑，下一步让他入场。最重要的事情和日本达成2个默契，在高科技、虚拟还有加密经济和整个马六甲海峡能源这80%的能源的问题上，要和美国绝对站在一起。只要动台湾，只要打这个钓鱼岛，美日绝对开战美日要跟老共开战绝对开战。 然后马六甲海峡马上日军自卫队就会派去所谓护航、防海盗、防恐怖袭击。这个事情战友们意味着什么知道吗？真正的是美国虎，美国这个飞翔的老虎或者美洲狮和亚洲的日本狼联合站在了一起，真正的是美洲狮、亚洲狼、日本来对付一个披着狼皮的羊中共。那你去想想战友们，那能有好？
We don't need them to start the investigation because those labs were working with American labs, lots of them, labs that were funded with $200 million of U.S. taxpayer money. And those
CNN journalist claims virus collaboration flawed. On April 17th, the Washington Post and CNN journalist Josh Rogin said on a War Room broadcast that the lab accident theory of the CCP virus involves a collaboration of Communist China officials and U.S. medical scientists funded by taxpayer money. Rogin noted the CCP virus sample database was deleted from Wuhan Institute of Virology's website on December 2019. The CCP and its collaborators at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, including Peter Daszak, explained the virus sample database had to be deleted due to a cyber attack on the institute, which Rogin found absurd because the incident happened just before the pandemic.
Their viral database was taken offline in December 2019. Now, what Peter Daszak and the EcoHealth Alliance and the Friends of the Lab will always tell you is, oh, well, they were getting hacked, so they had to take it offline. But if you think about it, to try to hack them to find out, because we didn't know about the virus in 2019, to go back in time to hack them before we knew about the virus, if you were trying to hack them to find out about the virus. So it doesn't make any sense, okay?
New research shows a positive impact of oral hydroxychloroquine on the prevention of the CCP virus. A new research study in Singapore shows that oral hydroxychloroquine and povidone iodine throat spray have a positive impact on the prevention of the CCP virus. Usage of oral HCQ or povidone iodine throat spray is more effective than oral vitamin C in reducing SARS-CoV-2 infection in young and healthy men. HCQ reduces the risk up to 98.75%, and the side effect interruption rate is the lowest at 0.7%. The results have been accepted by the National Institutes of Health.
And clearly we've got a problem, as you point out, because we have more than 85,000 Russian troops sent to the Ukraine border in recent weeks. We have the Chinese, as Christian talked about, pressuring Taiwan with their flights and with their ship movements. And so we could have war on both sides of the Eurasian landmass simultaneously.
Gordon Chang believes the U.S. will most likely involved in simultaneous warfare on both ends of the Eurasian continent. Gordon G. Chang, a Chinese-American lawyer and Cornell University doctor, appeared on Newsmax program The Count recently. Gordon mentioned that Russia has sent more than 85,000 troops to the Ukrainian border in the last few weeks. He also stated that the CCP has been constantly challenging Taiwan using their warplanes and warships. These two events, he said, will most likely result in simultaneous warfare on both ends of the Eurasian continent. Russia, Communist China, North Korea, and Iran may take action at the same time. Gordon believes the U.S. will be under tremendous pressure when dealing with the challenges from these four countries, and that the Biden administration has not been tough enough reacting to the Chinese Communist Party.
In Congress, democracy in Hong Kong has always been.
House Resolution 130 condemning the continued violation of the rights and freedoms of the people of Hong Kong by the CCP. On April 19th, the U.S. Congress passed House Resolution 130, condemning the continued violation of the rights and freedoms of the people of Hong Kong by the Chinese Communist Party and the government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. House Resolution 130 calls on the Hong Kong government to release the pro-democracy activists arrested under the Hong Kong version of the national security law. It encouraged the U.S. President, the U.S. State Department, and the U.S. Department of the Treasury to work with other coalitions and partners to help Hong Kong people obtain political asylum. This resolution supports the prosecution of the CCP government at the International Court of Justice for the continued violation of its legal obligation under the Sino-British Joint Declaration. It also states that the U.S. government should strengthen its work with international coalitions to ensure the implementation of multilateral sanctions.
For nearly 3 years, we heard baseless reporting and political invective mislabeled as news.
Chris Salcido states, leftist media has been engaging in misrepresentation and political vilification in the name of news. Political analyst Chris Salcido said on Newsmax that for the past 3 years, the leftist media has been engaging in inaccurate reporting and political slander in the name of news out of hatred for President Trump and the America First policy. In response, Salcido pointed out Bob Mueller's special investigation, which found no evidence of foreign complicity by President Trump, and that only the Democratic Party's fake news claimed to have such evidence. On the program, Salcido pointed out that all of the things that the left-wing news media claimed to be against, including slavery, racism, centralized dictatorship, and the denial of personal freedom, are still very prevalent under the communist regime. Ingenuity makes historical flight on Mars. On April 19th, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, announced that the experimental helicopter Ingenuity successfully completed its first flight on the surface of Mars. Ingenuity hovered on the surface of Mars in the vacant air for nearly 40 seconds. This is the first time ever that powered flight on another planet was controlled from Earth. The flight of the 1.8-kilogram rotorcraft, while brief, was a monumental achievement that will help pave the way for aerial exploration on Mars and other bodies in the solar system. The Perseverance, which carried the Ingenuity to the surface of Mars 2 months ago, filmed the entire maiden voyage in full color. Israel launches first vaccine passport. The Health Ministry of Israel released a vaccine passport named Green Pass on February 21st. The Green Pass will allow Israel citizens who have been fully vaccinated or have recovered from the CCP virus to take part in various social activities, including going to restaurants, shopping centers, gyms, or even taking exams. Vaccinated people can download an app that displays their Green Pass when entering certain restricted locations. Israel has struck deals with Greece and Cyprus, so Israel citizens with a Green Pass can travel to those 2 countries. These cyber attacks were aimed at stealing confidential information for the CCP. Japan Broadcasting Corporation (NHK) indicated that the Chinese Communist Party military is suspected of being behind the cyber attack. Wikipedia publishes internal documents of the CCP's Health Commission on the eve of the CCP virus outbreak. A few days ago, Wikipedia published an official document sent internally by the CCP's National Health Commission on January 3rd last year. The document stipulates that any publications about the CCP virus that has not been approved by the CCP is prohibited. It is worth noting that the time of the release of this document was before the CCP recognized the CCP virus epidemic. Xi Jinping claimed at Boao that the world wants justice, not hegemony. The Taiwanese media criticized him for not practicing what he preached. On April 20th, Xi Jinping delivered a keynote speech by video at the opening ceremony of the Boao Forum for Asia 2021 annual conference. Xi Jinping claimed that the world wants justice, not hegemony. Taiwan's Freedom Times published an article criticizing Xi for not practicing what he preached. The article stated that the content of the Xi's overall speech is very different from what the CCP has traditionally done. CCP has mastered the art of saying one thing and doing something completely different. The Freedom Times pointed out that Xi Jinping stated in his conversation that no matter how advanced Communist China becomes, it will never seek hegemony, expand, seek spheres of influence, or engage in an arms race. However, in fact, the CCP continues to cause controversy in the South China Sea with Taiwan, the United States, the Philippines, and other countries. In addition, the CCP's military planes continue to infringe on the center line of the strait or bypass Taiwan, and they have not achieved so-called world peace. The article also said Xi Jinping emphasized that the rules established by a country cannot be imposed on others. However, Xi Jinping may have forgotten that a certain country has forcibly imposed its domestic system on Hong Kong after committing to one country, two systems, claiming Taiwan is an inalienable part of Communist China while forcibly take advantage of Taiwan, and that country is Communist China. Wang Qishan calls himself temporary host at Boao. Xi Jinping should give the speech first. On the morning of April 20th, the opening ceremony of the Boao Forum of Asia 2021 annual conference was held in Boao, Hainan. The vice president of the Communist China, Wang Qishan, was arranged to speak before Xi Jinping's video speech. Wang Qishan made a speech at the beginning, stating that he was only the temporary host and the real speech should be given by Xi Jinping. Wang Qishan emphasized that this is to show the high respect to the president of Communist China. Baidu, Tencent, NetEase listed in the top 10 anti-monopoly cases. According to update from Sina Finance in the afternoon of April 20th, the Guangdong High Court released the top 10 major cases of anti-unfair competition and anti-monopoly in the internet industry, involving Baidu, Tencent, NetEase, and other internet companies. CCP encouraged netizens to report each other for posting wrong views on the internet. To welcome the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CCP and create a favorable atmosphere for public opinion, the CCP's Internet Information Office opened a hotline to encourage netizens to report false online statements by others on Friday. It includes that if anyone slanders Communist Party rule, maliciously distort and deny the Communist Party, and question the historical legacy of the Communist Party. The largest house church hotel gathering in Xiamen was hit by the CCP authorities. Xiamen's largest house church, the Patriarchal Church, was stormed by dozens of public security and religious bureau officers during a meeting at a hotel on Saturday, April 17th. They intercepted the church pastor and members at the entrance of the hotel's conference hall, and 100 Christians were once restricted from the freedom of movement. They were asked to take their temperature and register their ID numbers one by one, and were photographed and recorded with their masks removed. That's the end of our G-Translators Newsflash for today.